Baqhawafazi. She actually works with quite a lot of women in the corporate space and actually creating corporate environments for women against gender equality and gender-based violence as well. You know, and just a bit more about the work that you do. Why has it been important for you to be that voice and create the platforms that you have created?
Well, so my career was largely within the corporate environment. I was in corporate for over 10 years within the financial services sector. And as a young black woman, some of the experiences that I had, which didn't feel right, didn't feel comfortable, but I couldn't articulate it because nobody else was speaking about it in those spaces. So the racism in the workplace, the sexual harassment in the workplace, going away on strategy sessions for like 2 or 3 nights and getting a text from one of your senior executives saying, can I come and tuck you in? Mm-hmm. You know, or even the fact that women are paid less in the workplace purely because they're women. This is all violence. It's not physical, but it's mental, it's emotional, it's financial, and it's psychological. And having gone through my experience and being in a situation where I felt unsupported, I didn't have any safe spaces to go to. I didn't have people that I could go and have a conversation with to say, this is what I'm going through. Have you experienced the same thing? How did you navigate it? So once I finally got out of corporate, I decided that I no longer have the shackles of being afraid of losing my income because I no longer had an income. I quit without a job, without a plan. And I decided that now, because I'm in a position where I don't have this threat hovering over me of income loss, I'm going to use my voice and my experiences and for other people who are experiencing the same thing. And so the first thing that I did was I wrote a book, which came out in 2018 called We Are the Ones We Need, The War on Black Professionals in Corporate South Africa, which really focused on the experiences of black professionals within the corporate sector, and particularly the experiences of black women. And that book really opened up a whole new world for me, because not only did people start going, oh my gosh, me too, but what I also began to realize through that process was the importance of giving people language to describe their experiences, not, being sensitive, because these are all the labels that we're given. And particularly as black women, when we go into the workplace, we have all of these aggressions that we have to endure, but we are expected to keep quiet so that you're not the angry black woman. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants the angry black woman. You don't want to be called somebody who's not a team player. You don't want to be told that you're difficult, and so you miss out on opportunities. And so violence really manifests itself in so many different ways within the workplace. And so I decided that I'm going to create multiple platforms to be able to continue these conversations, but also to give other black women who are going through similar experiences an opportunity to share their stories, and to be able to share how they've navigated those different spaces, but also to create an opportunity for other women to see that they're not alone, that they're not the only ones experiencing these things, that they're not crazy. And so I use my social media a lot for that, particularly my Instagram and YouTube, but I also then created a podcast called The Workplace Revolution. And through my podcast, I have conversations with women from South Africa, the United States, the UK, from literally all over the world. And we have conversations about not just our careers and our journeys and how we've navigated them, but we also talk about the traumas that we've experienced. We talk about the challenges that are unique to us as black women. And you start to see that actually this is a global pandemic. It's not limited to just South Africa, right? And then with my work as a career coach, I really work very closely with women to really unpack. Firstly, okay, so when somebody comes, what were they raised? What were they taught when they were growing up? And you see a lot of these types of issues and beliefs that we hold now that make us feel shame, that make us feel guilt, that stop us from speaking up about our experiences, are largely because girls are raised in a particular way that boys are not raised in. And particularly for women who grew up as the oldest daughter, you are the deputy parent. You have this responsibility that's put on you, and you don't have the space, nobody gets to hold space for you to be able to be a child, first of all, and to develop at the rate that you should. And so there are so many things that you miss out on in your development as a person, and that manifests itself in very unhealthy ways as we get older. And so there's so much trauma that we hold because we don't feel safe, we don't trust ourselves. We talk a lot about women empowerment, but the reality is that women already have the power. What we need is enablement. What we need is support. We need sponsorship. We need people who are going to back us up and stand behind us. We need people who are going to say, I have access to this platform, I'm going to give you the time to speak and to share what it is that you need to say. But also I think it's important to remember that workplaces don't exist in isolation. They're a reflection of the societies within which they operate. And so if we're talking about toxic workplaces, trust and believe it's because we live in toxic societies. And if we're in workplaces and women are experiencing these things, it's because society is doing the same thing to these women. And so essentially, we are just carrying on a cycle, and we base it on what's tradition and culture, and that's just the way that things have always been done. And that's just who we are. We don't speak about those things in our culture. It's bad luck, it's taboo, menstruation. There's so many different things, right? And as an organizational culture strategist, my job is to go into organizations and ask the hard questions. Why do we have this culture? Why does it manifest in this way? Why are these behaviors acceptable? What is the impact of those behaviors? Because the reality is that the truth lies in the data. And in many instances, we have the data available, but nobody's willing